Analyze the latest from Apple and to look at other developments in the world of high tech is our Ebru Today technology contributor, Allan Hoffman.
Allan, welcome to the show. Listen, we have devices that didn't even exist
Right
5 years ago. You know, the tablet and the iPad, and I mean, this is just amazing. How does Apple keep doing it?
It is a real phenomenon when you think that 5 years ago, the iPad, the iPhone, these devices that have come to really define our age and the way we communicate, they weren't around.
Yeah.
And Apple has just invented these things out of nowhere. Other people are trying to catch up. I don't know if they can keep it up, but they are on just this incredible tear. Their financial results this week were just really wowed Wall Street.
Well, right. Weren't they the most valuable company over Exxon now?
Yes, for a time, actually.
There was a little window there?
Yeah, there was a window where Apple exceeded Exxon as the most valuable company.
That's
and I mean,
wild.
you think Exxon is this company making oil,
Right.
you know, I mean this thing that has been around for so long.
Well,
And
even in
Apple,
their stores, the square footage, they say, is more valuable than any other retail outlet in the world. It's incredible.
Well, this has become our fuel in a way. When you think about it, you see me every day. I'm kind of techno-challenged, but I've got this iPad with me all the time. I've got my Ebru TV queued up, and then when I'm doing any type of research, it's great to have it. I've got the Nano. For so many people, that's an urgent part of exercise.
It is.
You can't make do without it. But recently, the New York Times criticized the company a little bit for the way it was producing product in China, the way their labor practices were. They didn't comment, but the article really was a bit scathing.
It was a scathing article. I mean, it appeared on the front page of the New York Times. It talked about the human costs of the iPad.
Yeah.
That was the headline, the human costs of the iPad.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they are building these devices in China and with literally scores of outside suppliers bringing in different parts for these. So the concerns are, you know, people working 7 days a week, hazardous waste being disposed of
And
improperly.
Americans supporting that. I mean, we're the largest consumer market, and the problem, I guess, is do Americans really care as long as we got convenience?
Right. Frankly, I think a lot of people just try to ignore it. I mean, I know I read that, and I am a big consumer of these products. I am a fan of Apple Computer, but you start to think, wait a second, what are these human costs? Now, of course, Apple has made it known who all of their suppliers are, and some of these abuses are actually first reported by Apple in their public reports on this. So I think that they are taking action.
But certainly, I mean, based on the article, would you say more needs to be done in terms of how these are made, and so that human life is preserved in essence, if you will, and is not, you know, put aside to make these?
Yes, I mean, absolutely, and I think there's going to be more scrutiny of Apple in this regard, and there should be. I mean, given like what we were saying, they're one of the world's most valuable companies now. They aren't like they were 15 years ago, sort of this struggling player trying to keep up with Microsoft.
Right, and what about when we talk about the iPad, we were talking about this earlier, will it ever replace the laptop? You know, my computer guy last night said, "Oh, no way," but you said, "You know what? It might just happen."
I think it will, and I think, frankly, it's starting to happen for some people. I mean, if you're thinking, "I'm going to buy a new computer this year," maybe I'm going to hold off on buying that computer. I'm going to get an iPad, this extra thing, and then you start realizing there are a lot of apps for productivity. You can download special word processing apps for spreadsheets. It's so convenient. You can have, like you do, an extra keyboard here on it. And it's not quite there yet for most people, but it's going to be very soon.
What happens to Microsoft and Windows computers and all those tablets that are out there?
Right. I mean, I think that other companies are struggling to match Apple as far as tablets. But as far as Windows computers, you know, businesses still rely around the world on Windows computers.
Right.
They're not going anywhere quickly, and Microsoft is not going to go down without some epic struggle in this.
Right.
You never want to discount Microsoft.
Okay, so they're here to stay, and
they're going to stay and compete, and let's hope they'll come out with something great that'll cause Apple to become even greater.
It's a competitive environment.
Yeah.
I bet they're going to come out with something.
Right.
Allan, thanks for coming and joining us today.
See you.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
Thank you.
Well, London wants to have its very own Empire State Building, even during a crippling recession.